For me, it doesn't wear off the, like, I can't believe that the Beatles chose to do this.
And you recording?
That's why I say that fundamentally I do like that they both exist.
Are you recording?
Yeah.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Oh, we're clapping?
Sorry, what did you think I was counting down from 3 slowly for?
I just didn't care.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Why are we still listening to this?
Okay. Well, it's over now. Okay, now for a second, I was gonna let it go forward into.
We love Bungalow Bill.
Into Bungalow Bill.
We gotta love Bungalow Bill.
I've come around on Bungalow Bill. I've come around on a lot of the White Album.
If Ringo is singing,
Exactly, yeah.
I'm happy.
That's what's fun about it to me is, maybe it was, God, I hate to admit it, maybe it was the Escher demo of Bungalow Bill that got me to like Bungalow Bill. Because it's like you can so much better hear. It's like, yeah, it's just everyone in a room singing this dumb song. It's fun.
Is the reason you hate to admit it because I recommended it? Is that why you say I hate to admit it?
Yes. Yeah, I think you were like, you should listen to those Escher demos, and I was like, ugh, fine.
They're really good. I mean, I love the Escher demos.
Maybe I just don't. I think maybe I just don't want to like Bungalow Bill.
It's fun. I think it's fun.
Okay.
That is like the tragedy of the White Album is that it is their most disjointed thing that like in a like there's a version of the White Album where it's just all of the Beatles being friends and having fun, and instead it was the most tortured recording of their career.
Yeah.
Like, it was the thing that destroyed them as a band, really.
That's so strange.
Yeah.
Why did it? I didn't want to. Anyway, okay.
Brian Epstein had just died. John Lennon was going through shit with his wife.
Yeah.
They had written these songs all separately, so they were like being really independent. And I think that like John was not in the mood to like appreciate other people's hard work. And I think Paul was maybe too hands-on with other people's hard work.
Yeah.
That is 80%, I think, well documented, and maybe 20% speculation. Like not, I'm not like breaking any new ground. But,
no,
but that's I think that is like what the general consensus is, that like
fewer bands are more documented and more speculated upon.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we talked about the White Album before, and I think you had said like, it's overly long and it's bloated with a bunch of songs that aren't that good, and I was like, what? No, it's good. And then I listened to it again, and I was like, okay, Keith is right. This album is ridiculously long.
It's ridiculously long. I mean, it's the thing where it's like, if it was like, maybe you would cut some stuff that in a broad sense I do really like, to get it shorter. Well, like I don't want to say, I would never say like they should have made the White Album only 40 minutes long and then it would be amazing.
Right.
I think it's just like it's not as good as some other albums because it's too long, but one of its strengths is being too long also. It's like this weird thing where I don't want to change anything about it, but I also don't want to put it at the top of my my Beatles list.
I'm listening to the White Album and I'm going like, damn, great album. And then side 2 finally ends and then Birthday starts and I'm like, woof, we got a whole another half of this actually.
Yeah.
And side 2 is like maybe not as good.
Yeah, it's front loaded.
Yeah. I mean, hey, you start with Back in the USSR and go straight into Dear Prudence, you're just not pacing yourself.
I like Dear Prudence.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's like the best two songs on the album. It's like, pace yourself, guys. You can't just...
right, we're talking about side 2. Yeah, sure.
Side 2, Birthday, Your Blues, Mother Nature's Son. What? Everybody's got something to hide except me and my monkey. That one's great. Sexy Sadie, who cares? Helter Skelter, great. Long, I actually can't remember.
It's fine.
Yeah,
it's not my favorite Harrison song.
Revolution 1. Revolution, both versions of Revolution are great songs, but of course their lyrical content pisses me off.
Yeah, they're very suspect.
And, Honey Pie and Savoy Truffle are great. Cry Baby Cry, that's great. Revolution 9 is like an auditory abortion. And Goodnight is fine.
Disc 1 is so much better, though. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's insane.
I mean, you said back in the USSR and Dear Prudence, and I'm like, yeah, but then you've got Obla Di Obla Da, and then Bungalow Bill, and then While My Guitar Gently Weeps, top 10 Beatles song easily.
Yeah.
Happiness is a Warm Gun, the end of side 1 of disc 1.
That's great.
It's so great.
It's great.
Martha, my dear, Blackbird, Rocky Raccoon. I love Rocky Raccoon.
Are you kidding me?
Don't pass me by. I mean, again, we were talking about Ringo Starr banger. That's a Ringo Starr banger.
Yeah.
And then you've got Don't Pass Me By. No, wait, no, that's the
Ringo Starr banger.
Ringo Starr banger. And then Why Don't We Do It in the Road? It's so funny to me.
It's fun.
I really like Why Don't We Do It in the Road. It's very silly.
It has really grown on me. At first, I was like, why this? How about why don't we not include this song in the album? But now I'm just like,
this
song
favorite
rocks, actually.
Of mine on the White Album.
It's funny, though. I have actually been, as my due diligence as a parent, many responsibilities of a parent, feed your child, make sure that they have a warm place to sleep. You got to bring them to school on time. You have to subject them to the Beatles against their will. These are all the things that parents do. So I've been listening to a lot of the Beatles with my daughter, and she's been liking it. But the only song that I skipped was Why Don't We Do It in the Road? Because it's like, there's no other words in the song. So if she just listens for 2 seconds and then asks, do what? It's like, I don't know, forget it. I'm leaving.
It's also, even the lies are not good to tell like a kid. Like, they're talking about like playing ball in the road.
Right. Because
children shouldn't be doing anything in the road.
Listen, white lies can sometimes hurt people.
Rocky Raccoon, that's a song a lot of people don't like because it's goofy. But I think it's got maybe one of the top 5 greatest lines in a Beatles song. I laugh literally every time that I listen to this song. Her name was McGill, and she called herself Lil, but everyone knew her as Nancy.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
It's so funny. What?
Well, it's pure. That's pure McCartney lyricism.
Pure McCartney lyricism.
He just doesn't have the words to fit with the song, so he just adds words that don't need to be there.
No one but the Beatles were because every major songwriters, they write a song and then they don't have the words, and so they put in filler words to sing while they write the music, and then they go back and they'll be, not every song works this way, but you go back and you figure out which words do I have to change to make it like actually a well-written song. No band but the Beatles was comfortable just being like, just leaving the filler stuff.
Yeah, Paul McCartney knows exactly when actually the entire second half of Hey Jude should just be na 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 over and over again.
Yeah. Her name was McGill, and she called herself Lil.
So none of this, if it gets included, can certainly go at the beginning of the podcast.
Yeah, just put it at the end.
I was going to come in and be like, heavy disclaimer, I could still literally talk about the Beatles forever. I didn't even get a chance to say it.
I can't believe you're still listening to the Beatles, honestly.
I can't stop. I don't know what's wrong with me.
They're really great. That's really what it is. The Beatles
guys, sorry for the hashtag unpopular opinion, but the Beatles are a really great band.
Good. Yeah.
I even did the thing of I think I played Revolver for me and my daughter, and then at the end of Revolver I was like, I'll do that thing Keith said, and I put on Help and listened to it, and you're right, like it literally blew my mind how different those were.
Sorry for keep suggesting correct things about the Beatles to you.
Yeah,
but
no, when you said that, I thought in my head, I was like, well, yeah, but maybe he's exaggerating. But then I listened to them back to back, and I was like, oh my God. That Help has Dizzy Miss Lizzie on it.
Did you ever listen to Band on the Run?
I did not yet listen to it. Except, I mean, I listened to the literal song Band on the Run one time and went, yeah, great song.
Yeah, and it gets better. Gets even better.
Yeah. Oh, and I even I think before I had talked about possibly purchasing a Beatles vinyl record, and I did pull the trigger on ordering one vinyl album that I cannot listen to because I do not have a record player.
That's funny because if you've been on Twitter, you might know, but do you know what I've been doing the last 3 weeks?
Oh, have you been looking for a record player to buy?
So yeah, for the past month or 2 months ago, a record player that I was saving up for a couple years was just discontinued for being, I think I mentioned this on Run Button somewhere, for being basically too hard to produce for the money they were selling it at. And so they discontinued it.
Dude,
and
that's the Framemeister basically got discontinued for the same reason.
Damn, really?
Like they were just
we got in
the
there
people
early.
who make the parts that go in the Framemeister don't make those parts anymore, so the Framemeister is over.
Damn.
It's like, oh, okay. I'm sure they're just going to make a different thing, but
Yeah.
Sorry, what were you saying about the record player?
And modern record players are really difficult to navigate because you're familiar with the term economy of scale?
Yeah.
So people don't listen to record. I know that there's a vinyl boom, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
People are not listening to records like they used to because there's other options. There will never be the demand for record players that there was 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Because there's other ways to listen to music now. And, and I'll even go so far as to say better ways to listen to music now.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, but
Keith,
vinyl's
what about
fun.
the warmth?
It sounds
the analog warmth.
Vinyl sounds great. It has its own sound. I don't think there's a real way to say that it's better, but it definitely is different. I won't say that it's worse, but it's different at least. And so you want to listen to songs in a different way. That's great. I have a bunch of records, but for a long time I didn't have a record player because mine broke, and so because of this economy of scale issue, there's like a lot of weird quirks with how modern record players work, namely that they don't have good motors anymore. There's two kinds of turntable motor. There's direct drive, which is like what you'll see on like a DJ table where there's like a platter that sits on a motor and the motor spins and the platter spins
direct
with
drive is the motor directly spins the turntable.
Exactly. And then there's belt driven, which is when a motor spins a spindle and there's a belt on the spindle and then that belt goes around a platter. There's no motor connected to the platter. And then the belt drives, or the motor drives the belt, which turns the turntable. Yeah. That is what we now see in higher end turntables is the belt drive. But that's flipped from how it used to be, because you used to be able to cheaply manufacture extremely silent direct drive motors. And since you can't do that anymore, it's too expensive of a part to do now. You've got to sort of find a way to make a really good belt-driven turntable. And I've always been confused by this. And did they just learn that belt drive is better, or is it like, why are all the old good turntables direct drive and all the modern good turntables belt drive?
Right.
And that's when I learned that, it's just because they literally cannot manufacture at a decent price direct drive turntables that aren't dog shit.
It's like, why isn't anyone making good CRT televisions anymore? It's like because the TV because the factories that made the good TVs shut down.
Yeah. And so I was caught between what do I spend my money on? Do I spend my money on like a low mid-range turntable? And I decided not to do that. And instead I decided to buy a 36-year-old very complicated linear tracking turntable, which has a separate motor that drags a short tone arm parallel to the record across the record. So there's no pivot arm.
Well, that's because it goes easier on your records, Keith. It's not gonna wear down the grooves.
Yeah. Yes, that's exactly part of what they say when they try to sell you these. They also talk about how it reduces inner groove distortion, which may or may not be true because it reads the record in the same orientation as the record is written. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. They fucking look sick as hell, so I got one. And not only did I get one, I got one for a steal because I got it broken and fixed it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I got sick. You can look this up, Kylie. I got a Technics SL-Q6 turntable.
SL-Q6. I mean, I already know from watching a lot of Techmoan that as soon as I know it's from Technics, it's got to be pretty good.
I have the nicer SL series than Techmoan has.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I have a couple SKUs nicer.
I'm so glad that the story of you saying, like, the only thing I could do was ended with buying a really old turntable, because I was afraid you were going to be like, I bought a $1,500 belt-driven turntable on credit.
No, I got this for like $100. Wow. I got this for $100. I got a cartridge for like $60. I took it all apart. I cleaned the disgusting tracking arm. I recalibrated the sensor gain on the optical sensor because this thing has a track search feature. You can press 4 and it goes to track 4.
Holy shit, we in the future now, baby.
Yeah, so it is like the absolute we need to be like CD players turntable.
Hell yeah.
And it sounds phenomenal. I looked up you look up the specs. All of these like peak turntable from like 75 to 85, they pretty much blow modern specs out of the water. There's comparable WoW and Flutter, but way better.
But does it have auto return?
What's that?
But does it have auto return?
It does have auto return.
Oh.
Yeah, it has auto return. Wow. It has a repeat function. So if I want, I could just have it play tracks 2, then 5, then 4 in that order. Repeat it.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I would say
but the mistake you've made, you see, is that you're not going to be able to keep me from visiting now because I have to come play my record on your turntable. So do you want to play the guessing game? Do you want to try to guess which album I ended up buying on vinyl? Because I think we talked about it.
Revolver.
You know, there are certain albums that are more iconic. There are certain albums that are more beloved by music.
Yeah.
Ophiles.
So okay. So it wasn't Revolver. You would have said yes, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So
what am I, a John Davies?
Oh, I thought that your favorite was Revolver too.
No, John Davies was like, maybe I'd watch, maybe I'll watch Get Back, but I'd get to it sooner if it was about Rubber Soul and Revolver. And I was like, whatever.
Okay, so I remember us having a conversation about how I was like, I think Rubber Soul is only slightly less favorite than Revolver. And you were like, no way. And so maybe I just misremembered that you really liked Revolver. Okay, so... Oh, okay, no, I know what it is. It's Magical Mystery Tour.
Yeah, you got it.
Nailed it.
Got it.
Nailed it.
Nice. Yeah,
I had to do the Beatles math in my head. It's Magical Mystery Tour.
Yeah, I think we've basically talked about it. Like it's when they're doing their weird like psychedelic kind of stuff that people associate with Sgt. Pepper's, but like all the songs on Magical Mystery Tour are mostly better and also kind of more psychedelic than the stuff on Sgt. Pepper's.
Yeah. Magical Mystery Tour, aka the good Sgt. Pepper's.
I also was like, well, the bummer is that the good thing is, since I'm broke as hell, I didn't spend a lot of money on it. It was like $20 or something.
Used?
used, yeah. And it didn't look scuffed to hell like some of the other ones that I had looked at, but it didn't come with like the Magical Mystery Tour album came with like a 28 color page booklet of like screenshots from the movie and stuff like that, and it didn't come with the booklet. But what I did, weirdly, part of what put me over the edge was just like the funny like record industry like history of the fact that I was looking at the inside fold, and the track listing specifically said that it's a single record album, but sides 1 and 2 are published by 2 different music studios.
Right. Okay. So this is because side 1 is the film soundtrack, but side 2 are the unreleased singles. Mm-hmm. Magical Mystery Tour kind of only exists in America.
Oh.
Yeah. It's this weird thing where in the UK, those were released on single discs.
Well, I think they were here too. Would they not have been released as singles in America? Like, why not?
The music industry was so weird back then. I honestly don't know the exact history of it, but I do not think that I think there's some weird thing where like Magical Mystery Tour basically didn't exist in London or something weird like that.
Sure.
Like or they released the film as a soundtrack. So they basically released side 1 as an EP, and then side 2 they didn't release at first, maybe, but then in America, where it was harder to get the singles, they released the singles as side 2 of the record, and which, by the way, that is where the value of Magical Mystery Tour is. Speaking of White Album being front-loaded, Magical Mystery Tour is extremely backloaded. I mean, side 2 is Hello Goodbye, Strawberry Fields Forever, Penny Lane, Baby You're a Rich Man, and All You Need Is Love. I mean, that's a hell of a side 2.
Now I don't mean to come in here and disagree with you about this album that I really like.
Okay.
But
no, that's
I really like side 1 a lot, though. Like,
okay. But which side is better?
Mean, I kind of, honestly, here's the thing, like, all right, well, you know.
Strawberry Fields Forever and Penny Lane, Kylie.
Keith, they're on the same vinyl platter. They don't need to fight. They're best friends.
No, it's not about fighting. It's not about fighting. When you're talking about, here's the thing, when you're talking about vinyl, I think you actually want a front or a backloaded record, and that's why it was more common to have front or backloaded records in the past when things were on vinyl, because you just want to be able to put on your favorite side, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. I would say part of what put me over the edge on buying Magical Mystery Tour was that my least favorite song on the album, Blue Jay Way, somehow just got like mind splintered into my brain, and I couldn't get it out of my head, and now I love it.
Shout out to George Harrison.
Shout out to George Harrison.
We got a Harris song earworm.
Yeah, I think there's just such a good spread here. There's like a few songs that I know from my childhood, which is like Hello Goodbye and Penny Lane.
And Walrus,
you have like
maybe?
The opening song Magical Mystery Tour is kind of like, you know, it's practically a song for children. It's just from that movie, but it's kind of got like that sort of classic Beatles like up-tempo whatever to it. But you know, a lot of the songs in here, it's like this is like also when they're going crazy with like adding horns and strings into their songs. I love when the Beatles have horns. There's lots of horns on Magical Mystery Tour.
Shout out to George Martin.
Yeah. Now, Strawberry Fields Forever, so strange. I mean, I had definitely heard it before because I had listened to the album before as like a
Wait, you saying Strawberry Fields
teenager.
Forever?
Yeah. No, listen to this. I had definitely heard Strawberry Fields Forever, but other than having just literally the clinical knowledge that it must have passed my ears before, I basically didn't know this song at all. And furthermore, didn't know that it was like a big like song that everyone knew the Beatles for.
Yeah. I feel like it's one of the more famous songs for sure.
Yeah, weirdly.
Like the back half of the Beatles' career, like Revolver On.
Yeah.
It's got to be in the top 5.
So listen to this weird thing. This gets left out of the Beatles one on like this weird technicality that really annoys me. Does that be that
This
that
is the
album
compilation album that you had as a kid.
that I had as a kid, right? So that was all of their singles that went to number 1, but it was the side A from all the singles that went to number 1. And Strawberry Fields Forever was,
It's
and
a
now
double
this
side
is
A with Penny Lane.
it's a double A side,
it's two
it was a double
A-sides,
A. It was
they
a
were
double
both
A
too
side
good.
with Penny Lane. Now, now listen. We can get into the philosophical debates about whether or not a double A side is a thing that can exist. You can't have two sides A on a two-sided disc.
This is like a personalities thing.
Right. So, like, I just feel like okay, first of all, maybe it was literally a space thing because there's 27 songs on that CD already. But, like, it just feels like someone had a real axe to grind or something. Like, they just felt like Strawberry Fields Forever is too weird for the late 90s music audience. Or what the fuck? So they leave out Strawberry Fields Forever. Meanwhile, they include Paperback Writer on like a technicality, even though it didn't technically hit number 1 on the charts that the album is supposed to be based on. I mean, not that I want them to leave out Paperback Writer, but like, what the fuck, guys? Come on.
What is the technicality?
Hey,
I don't know the
Apple from
technicality
21
for
years
Paperback
ago.
Writer. What is that?
Well, it's just that like, so it's like all of the songs on Beatles 1 are songs that either went to number 1 on the Billboard singles chart in America or some specific singles chart in Britain. And Paperback Writer went to number 2 on that chart, and it went to number 1 on every other singles chart in Britain. So it's like, technically it doesn't make it because that was the chart that the album is based on, and it didn't go to number 1 on that chart, but it went to number 1 everywhere
a bunch
else.
of other charts.
I mean, it's obviously one of their most famous songs. You know, like,
it's a good song.
Yeah, this is that's you know that thing where you're a little kid and you just wildly misinterpret the lyrics of a song.
Yeah,
I think my mom was like 3 years old or something when Paperback Writer came out, and she said that when she first heard it, she used to think that the song said "Take the back right turn."
Take the
back right turn.
That's really funny.
You know, a phrase that could only make sense in a 3-year-old's head. Very funny. And this is why I didn't grow up to resent the Beatles, is because my parents were just slightly too young to have the Beatles have been meaningful in their childhood, so they never forced it upon me like I'm currently doing to my child.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like I didn't have the Beatles forced on me, but I was like exposed to the Beatles as a kid. Yeah, I guess there's a difference between like, I also had that, or I guess my mom had that Beatles 1 CD. I guess there's a difference between that and being like, hey, kid, sit here and fucking listen to this.
Yeah. So, yeah, Strawberry Fields.
Did your kid like the Beatles when you played Revolver for your daughter? Did she like it?
So she does not
no.
comment upon the Beatles very much when I'm playing it, other than Yellow Submarine she will ask for, because of course. Because
so funny.
She's 6 and it's Yellow Submarine.
Right.
I mean, she won't comment upon it very much, but if she didn't like the music, she would just be like, Dad, turn this off. Like, she's not a passive child. But
I can't believe you still didn't listen to Band on the Run.
Well, I feel like, I made my foray into McCartney's post-Beatles, the beginning of his post-Beatles catalog.
But you didn't listen to me.
Listen, Keith. Listen. Don't let me finish.
Okay.
It's just, I felt as I was listening to those songs that my heart was still too busy wanting to re-listen to the Beatles, and I wasn't ready to welcome Wings into my heart fully, and I need to wait until I'm ready to embrace it with open wings.
Okay. How much Abbey Road have you done?
I've listened to Abbey Road. Abbey Road, of everything like post Revolver, Abbey Road was the last one that I got around to like listening to a bunch, but now I've listened to it a bunch. It's really good.
Yeah, it's really good.
The long
That's
one.
I just wanted to make you say that it's really good.
Yeah, it's really good. Golden Slumbers. I love Golden Slumbers.
Really good. Everyone loves that.
I mean, basically, like, the part where you get to the long one, You Never Give Me Your Money, when like when that
bum, 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 bum,
I see.
that
I'm hitting the edges of my musical vocabulary because I don't even know what to call it. But just basically when the bit when the Here Comes the Sun like comes back and then like keeps reoccurring throughout the long one is really cool.
Yeah, it's called the motif.
Motif. There you go.
Some people will insist on calling it a leitmotif. You do not have to call it that. It's a motif is the same thing. I'm saying that to the audience before they go.
Is a leitmotif?
It's a leitmotif. L-E-I-T. Late.
L-E-I-T. Okay. And what does that mean? What does late in this context mean?
I don't know. It means the fucking same thing as motif. It means the exact same thing. I think that a motif does not specifically need to refer to music, obviously. A leitmotif, I believe, specifically refers to music, but it's still just a motif. It's just, as far as I can tell, it's just basically saying like a motif, but in music.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. The spelling leitmotif is an Anglicization of the German leitmotif, literally meaning leading motif or guiding motif.
So it's a motif.
A musical motif has been defined as a short musical idea, melodic, harmonic, or rhythmic, or all three. Yeah, so it just means it's just a motif in music.
Sweet.
That guides you through the music. I assume why they would call it a guiding motif.
I need to pee.
Okay.
I'm going to do it.
I need you to not pee.
No!
I have an update for you. Leitmotif, not exclusively used in music either. It is even closer to the definition of motif than I thought it was.
Maybe
I know that this is a race you have no horse in.
No.
But I've been having this linguistic quibble with people for a decade of calling something in music a motif and then having someone be like, leitmotif, and then me having to be like, that's the same thing.
It sounds sounds like maybe every time we use the term motif, we really mean leitmotif. Right? It sounds like from the definition
is definitely broader.
It sounds like the definition that you just gave me. Sounds like it could be anything.
An associated melodic phrase or figure that accompanies the reappearance of an idea, person, or situation, especially in a Wagnerian music drama. And I'll say this. Also, because it's German.
Yes. Thankfully, I would say that Abbey Road is a classic example of a Wagnerian musical. Drama. Sorry, I got the rest of the words to that.
But then the second definition here of leitmotif is just a dominant recurring theme. And then the Wordnik definition that they give you on DuckDuckGo says a dominant and recurring theme as in a novel or even a recurring theme in the activities of a person or group.
Wow.
Yeah. So I would say that because I rarely am hearing leitmotif talking about Wagnerian music, or other German symphonic or operatic music, a motif works just fine.
Oh yeah, I'm seeing here on the Wikipedia where it's sewing up all the loose ends. I'm seeing here on the Wikipedia page for Magical Mystery Tour that you're right. It was an EP in the UK. It was an LP in the US.
Thank you for. I actually was like kind of worried that I was wrong, although the penalty for being wrong there was nothing.
Well, I mean, it was having the same people correcting you on leitmotif now correcting you on this other thing.
Yeah. Just an addendum. If every time I describe something as a motif and you say leitmotif, then doesn't that exactly prove my point that motif is the right word to use?
You prove my point that you know what I meant.
Yeah. Anyway.
I guess
So let's cut that all out and use it as its own thing, I guess.
That's its own thing for sure.
Yeah.
It's funny how I even started to rewatch Get Back, and it's shocking how, having seen the whole thing going back to the beginning, I'm I now realize I'm interpreting everything that happens in part one completely differently than the first time.
You're constantly psychoanalyzing it. Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, it's.
What are you seeing differently?
For some reason, and maybe it's seeing what a good mood John was generally in the second half, that I realized I was like ascribing way too much negativity to him in the first one. Like maybe it was just because Yoko was sitting there and nobody was commenting upon it, that it just seemed like this weird kind of like silent passive aggressive move or something. And now that I realize that that's not really what it was, that I'm like,
yeah, they're just at work.
Also, there was that part where they're fucking rehearsing across the universe, and there's that part where John's bit, it says like nothing's gonna change my world over and over again. He's like, nothing's gonna change my world. I wish you fucking would. Nothing's gonna change my world. And I was
in his like put on Liverpoolian accent.
I realized,
which he has, but he just does like a super exaggerated. They are constantly doing a super exaggerated version of their own accent, which is so funny because it's then what people will proceed to do to them for 50 years.
Well, sure. I mean, hey, hey, you can go watch all 7.5 hours of Get Back, and you can listen to how fucking crazy these guys are talking constantly. So whatever. Like they have to put subtitles at the bottom just so that you know what they're saying. And not because they're speaking in a non-American accent, but just because they're barely enunciating.
I don't know. I feel like
John more so than anyone else, but he's like, John doesn't even speak in complete thoughts. I watch that and I go like, man, no wonder they broke up. They literally, none of them can communicate anything to each other. Like there's this part
but literally in a
where
literal
like
sense
John,
they can't.
John is talking to Paul, and it's something like you could see.
Oh, is this the hidden plant conversation?
It wasn't that part, but it was just like you could see that this was a moment where John probably could just speak openly to his friend and bandmate about the emotions and feelings that he's going through in his life, but instead chooses to simply recite the lyrics to the song Help, but with none of the parts that say the word help. And like that is how John communicates.
It's full of as a documentary, the thing that stands out more than anything else in those parts is that they won't communicate openly with each other. They turn everything into a joke.
It seems like maybe the past couple years of the Beatles had featured a lot of them. It sounds like maybe they were all very honest with each other during the White Album, and it only led to them all getting mad at each other. So now they're all walking on eggshells being like, I don't know what to say to everyone else in this band.
I sort of get the impression that it's that there's just sort of like a mid-century, macho
maybe
sort of like a cultural incapability of communicating openly.
Yeah, John, that might even the John we see in that might be actually way better at communicating than like John from 10 years earlier.
Yeah, 100%. That's totally
in
what
fact,
I think.
almost
and I
certainly.
think he only gets better, up until he dies, basically at talking about.
Damn.
Like if you watch him in some of the interviews, like right before he is killed, he seems so relaxed and open. Like he just is a totally different guy, and he's just 10 years older. But it seems like he had 10 years of like figuring out how to talk about his feelings.
Be a person.
Yeah. Which maybe would have happened naturally if he wasn't busy spending a decade being the most famous guy in the world.
It's like they went from like barely they went from like not really having an adolescence to straight into not having an early adulthood.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Anyway, the Beatles is very sad. The world destroyed 4 people to give us 11 really fantastic albums.
Yeah, I'd like to say that we're like that societally we are better at not driving celebrities totally crazy, but I think if you look at the track record, we're really not actually.
We're worse. Yeah, we're worse. We're destroying people faster without even getting any of the good art out of them.
I mean, that's why you're like, why is the White Album so bloated? I mean, it's literally just a double album because they had been putting out albums at a rate of 2 per year, and this was their first time they only put out 1 in a year, so they're like, it has to be double. So they're expecting this from us. Yeah, it was so wild. This is just an even wider window into how I've been spending my time recently, but I read the Wikipedia page for the guy who killed John Lennon, and it was so wild that like at the time he cited one of his reasons for being, as you said, that he was like a born-again Christian. He was mad at John Lennon for all the things he had said about...
For a quote that he made 13 years earlier.
And for other things, like stuff in his early solo career, the song God, which I haven't heard, which I understand to be about how he doesn't believe in God. This kind of thing.
Right, and Imagine.
But one of the other things was that this guy was a big fan of the Beatles, and he was mad at John Lennon for disrespecting the Beatles post-Beatles. Like,
that was a part
he's
of it too,
disrespecting his 2 gods, Yahweh and Revolver or whatever.
Yeah. What was that guy's name again?
I don't know.
I keep in my head because I was just thinking about the would-be Reagan assassin the other day, John Hinckley Jr.
Okay,
and I can't get that name out of my head. So
why is it that we need to include people's middle names when they assassinate someone famous, or try to?
We don't.
Yeah.
John Hinckley is that guy's first and last name, and then Junior is...
Oh, sorry, you're right. That was a bad example.
His name was not John Jr. Lee Harvey Chapman. Wait, no, it's Lee Harvey Oswald. Mark Henry Chapman? Mark...
Hang on.
Is it something Chapman?
Mark David Chapman.
Mark David Chapman. Okay.
Yeah, I also...
Lee Harvey Chapman.
He's been up...
really funny. But you're right. Lee Harvey Oswald, Mark David Chapman. Yeah.
Yeah, John
Those
Wilkes
two
Booth.
Proves your point.
No, John Wilkes Booth. It's really a thing.
John Wilkes Booth, yeah.
One of the only American political assassins that doesn't get this is Sirhan Sirhan, and it's just because they don't want to break the alliteration.
Right. Yeah, why would you ever not call that guy Sirhan Sirhan?
So
instead call him Sirhan Bashara Sirhan.
Yeah.
Not nearly as good. Well, that's the thing. Lee Harvey Oswald, Mark David Chapman, it flows so well. Sirhan Sirhan flows without the middle name.
Right.
To quote John Lennon, it sings better.
Oh, man. Yeah, so Mark David Chapman's been up for parole every year since 2000 and has had his request declined 22 times in a row. Sorry, 21.
Yeah, all the judges there with their like Beatles shirts.
Yeah, no, literally, it's like they keep saying like,
well, you know who is out, by the way, is John Hinckley Jr.
And who is that?
The guy that shot Kennedy. Or no, sorry, not Kennedy, Reagan.
Oh, well, he didn't succeed.
You're right. That helps.
Well, I mean,
it was Reagan.
But like, it's funny because like you look at, and of course this is on Wikipedia. They give like summaries of each year of like, oh, sorry, it's every 2 years. So he's had it denied 11 times or 10 times or something. But like they give a summary of like what the council said for why they were rejecting it, and sometimes they say that like. He doesn't seem to fully grasp what he did, or that they're concerned that he won't be able to reintegrate into society without committing more crimes or stuff. But sometimes they're a little more honest, and they're just like, listen, frankly, the American public has not forgiven you.
Yeah.
We fear for your safety.
Wow, that would be wild if they let him out and someone killed him. That would be nuts.
That would be nuts, and it
honestly
it wouldn't happen. But it's like
I bet there's people that are as crazy as Chapman, but crazy for John Lennon, not crazy against him.
Yeah, it's really all the same thing, I suppose, in a sense.
Obviously, they should let him out. They should let everybody out.
Yeah,
not just like. Hit the button that says open the gates.
We don't want a Spider-Man for PS4 situation on our hands.
Yeah, we don't want a Mark Maron situation on our hands.
Oh, what is that? What is that?
Oh no, I got it wrong. I got it backwards. His podcast, it starts with the one time he was in a movie and his character goes, "Lock the gates."
Oh,
remember?
No,
you don't know that?
No,
I feel like that's a
talking
famous podcast intro.
I don't even know who Mark Maron is, and I won't. Don't even press me on it because I refuse to know.
He's a stand-up comedian that has a podcast.
Don't know anything about him. Not him or his anxiety or his depression. I don't know him or any details about him.
Do you know about his cats? Do you know about the cat?
Yeah, I know about the cats.
Cat villa? What did they call it?
A catio. A cat patio. A catio.
His catio? Do you know the famous catio where they record all of the Mark Marons?
What does he record his podcast in a room full of cats?
I think it's just that he records in his garage and he has cats.
Okay.
I don't know. This is not a show that I listen
sounds
to.
Sick.
Yeah.
So, he was just a guest on a bunch of podcasts I listened to and was like, I'm starting, and I never liked him as a guest on other podcasts, so I never checked out his podcast, basically. He's fine.
Podcast's fine.
Seems
He's a
like
fine
a decent
interviewer.
Guy. I don't have anything against him. I just don't need to listen to his show.
I'll say this. The early draw to his podcast was that he's a piece of shit. And so he would bring on comedians that he had beef with to like explain their beef and to potentially quash it. Yeah. So it was insane.
That is wild.
Yeah. So those were great. That was the best shit.
I don't even know if I could listen to that. It sounds so uncomfortable.
It's very uncomfortable. And then basically his podcast blows up, and so he just starts having on famous people that he, usually likes, and then it is boring because it's not about people in their lives anymore. It's just some asshole interviewing famous people, and I could not give less of a shit about that. And that transition happened in like 2011 or something, and so it's been 11 years since I've listened to that show.
Okay.
Because
wow, that's long.
It's not, I just don't. Yeah. What's that?
That's long. That's a long time.
Yeah. It's just like not interesting to have like a sort of unsuccessful comedian turned successful podcaster interviewing Obama. Don't care.
Yeah, sure. What the fuck could Mark Maron have to ask Obama? Give me a break.
I'll say this. It wasn't a hard-hitting interview. I didn't listen to it. I just know. He wouldn't have done it if it was a hard-hitting interview.
Oh, okay. All right. I thought you said it was a hard-hitting interview. I was like, really?
No, it was not.
Yeah, of course
not a hard-hitting interview. Like, I want to listen to some fucking idiot be impressed by Obama for an hour. Pass.
Obama, go on Rogan. Boy, now that we've gotten that first hour out of now that we've caught up, and
so the preamble,
and we all know that we love Blue Jay Way. Are we ready to take a short break for me to pee again and then talk about our favorite games of the year?
Get a bigger bladder.
I can't. I drank coffee right before we started, so that's part of the
Me
problem.
too.
Okay, well, I also have other things that make me pee a lot, Keith. Should we talk about them right now? Do you want me to? Let's just have a fucking autopsy right now. Just dissect me and we can go through each tube bit by bit. Is that what you fucking want?
No, it's fine. No, I get it. You pee all the time and we all are fine with it.